Hey everyone, I'm Nick, and this is C++ from scratch. So in this episode of the series, we're going to be talking about thread synchronization with std mutex. So in our last video, we looked at the basics of creating and joining threads with our std thread and std thread. Now, one of the things we ran into during that example was this issue where we had concurrent access of some shared resource. Now, in our case, that shared resource was our std stream objects, and we had multiple different threads trying to print out using std at the same time. And at our output, we had these, interleaved prints with multiple, different strings on kind of the same line, and everything was a bit jumbled. Now, one of the things we're looking for, right, in that video was some way that we could, say, synchronize our different threads here and maybe prevent this concurrent access. And one of the things that we can use to prevent that is our std mutex. So if we go ahead and look at the right-hand side of the screen here, we can see that on the CPP reference page for std mutex, we see that the std mutex class is a synchronization primitive that can be used to protect shared data from being simultaneously accessed by multiple threads. So it sounds like exactly what we need to prevent multiple threads from being able to access std at the same time. So let's go ahead and see the basics on how we can use the std mutex in our example. So we'll go ahead and open up this mutex.cpp, and we have pretty much the exact same example from last time. The only major difference is that I've changed this print thread ID function to now be a lambda expression here. But otherwise, it does the exact same thing. So it takes some integer ID and it just prints out using std printing from thread, followed by the ID and a new line character here. Then in the rest of my code here, all we have is, say, a vector of j threads called myThreads. We create 3 threads here, right, in the simple for loop. So we place them back into our vector. And each of these threads is just going to run this print thread ID lambda here. And it's going to have a thread ID of I, so either 0, 1, or 2. So these different iterations of this loop. Okay, so let's go ahead and compile and run this to see what our problem was with this concurrent access to cout. So we'll go ahead and compile this with G++. So we'll compile this mutex.cpp and call our output executable mutex. And we'll set the standard equal to C++20 since we're using JThreads. So we'll go ahead and run this. And the problem that we see is that every once in a while, we'll get, say, an interleaving of prints, right, that wind up on the same line and everything kind of gets jumbled. So it's okay if each of these threads, say, prints on a different line here, but what we're trying to avoid are these cases where the different prints get kind of mashed together on the same line and everything just gets a bit confused. So these are the cases where, multiple threads are accessing cout at the exact same moment. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back into our code here and see how we can use std mutex to prevent this. So it says that std mutex is defined in the header mutex, so let's go ahead and include that at the top of our file. So we'll go ahead and include mutex. Then down here, we can go ahead and create a mutex. So some std mutex, and we'll just call it m. And we want to be able to use this mutex in each of our threads here. So we'll go ahead and capture it by reference here. So we want the same mutex to be going to each of our threads here. So we'll just capture it by reference here with our lambda. So let's see how we can go ahead and use this mutex inside of the body of our lambda here. And namely, we're going to be using these 2 methods, lock and unlock. So our lock method locks the mutex and blocks if the mutex is not available. So when each thread tries to, run this lambda, it's going to first try and lock the mutex. If it is able to lock the mutex, it goes ahead and goes through and it does its print. But if some other thread has already come before it and locked the mutex already, it just waits at that call to lock here. So it just waits until our other thread is done with this mutex, and it's done with what we call this critical section. Then we can use this unlock method. So this unlock method just unlocks the mutex. So it allows some other thread to, say, lock the mutex. So here before our cout, we can add this call to lock. So we'll just do m.lock here. So each thread will first try and lock this mutex before it proceeds to do this print. If a thread is able to lock the mutex, it continues through, it does its print, and after it's done with this print, it'll go ahead and unlock the mutex here. So we're saying right here that we're done, right, with the cout stream object, the shared resource. Someone else can have access to it. So we'll just unlock this mutex when we're done with it. And then we'll go ahead and just return here, right, at the very bottom of this function body. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this and let's see how this has changed the behavior of our program now that we're serializing access to the std_cout. So our different threads may print out still in different orders, but we're no longer going to see that case where our prints get mangled on the same line anymore. We're serializing access to the std_cout. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save this and we'll recompile this mutex.cpp and we'll go ahead and run mutex. And we can run it a few different times here. And what we see is we never get that case where multiple prints get mangled on the same line. So we still can get different, say, orderings of these prints. So say, 1, 2, 0, then, 0, 2, 1, then 0, 2, 1 again, then 0, 1, 2, and so on and so forth. But we never get that case where, multiple prints are kind of mangled on the same line anymore because we're serializing access to cout. Threads can grab the mutex or lock the mutex in different orders, but they can never get into that, get past that mutex at the same time, right? We're providing this mutual exclusion, so no two threads can, get past that mutex lock at the same time. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back into our example and let's take a look at one more thing here. So, we can sometimes run into, silly mistakes whenever we're directly using mutexes like this. So, directly calling lock and unlock on a mutex. And the mistake that we can run into is very similar to the one that we had with our dynamically allocated memory with, say, new and delete. So sometimes we can maybe forget to delete our memory, so we get a memory leak. Now, we can do the exact same thing with our locks here, and, we might forget to unlock our mutex when we're done with it. And this can lead to perhaps an even more problematic kind of error. And that's this thing that we call a deadlock here, right? So we've introduced a situation where a thread can come in here, lock the mutex, do its print, and then return without ever unlocking the mutex. So if any other thread calls this lambda and tries to lock the mutex, it will never be able to get that lock because the thread that originally locked the mutex never unlocked it, right? And then it ended, right? It went out of scope. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how this is a problem here. So we'll go ahead and save this and we'll recompile this example where we forgot to call unlock with our mutex. So we'll compile mutex.cpp again and we'll run our example. And what we see is that, the first thread comes in, it prints out this printing from thread and then whatever the thread ID is, and then we get nothing else and our program never ends. So right now we just have our two threads both trying to lock that mutex and never being able to get that lock because this first thread never released it. So we'll have to force quit it. And you can see that each time we run this, we get the exact same problem. So we have a deadlock every single time. Okay, so that's a bit about this problem of deadlocks here. So what's one way that we can maybe do this a little more safely without directly interacting with this mutex lock and unlock? Well, we can use something like the std lock guard. So this is also defined in our std mutex header. So we see that this class lock guard here is a mutex wrapper that provides a convenient RAII style mechanism for owning a mutex for the duration of a scoped lock. So again, RAII just stands for resource acquisition is initialization. High level idea is we get some shared or we get some resource, inside of a constructor and we release that resource in the destructor. So what we can do is we can lock our mutex in the constructor and unlock our mutex in the destructor of our lock guard. So let's see how we can use that instead of directly calling lock and unlock. So instead, we'll go ahead and create some new variable, which is a std lock guard, and it's going to be managing some std mutex. So we'll use that as our template parameter, and we'll just call it LG. So just standing for lock guard. And then to our constructor, we'll pass a mutex, right? So our mutex im here. And that's all we need to do here. So we don't need to have a call to lock. We don't need to have a call to unlock. Our call to lock automatically happens in the constructor. Our call to unlock automatically happens in the destructor, right? We can't forget to unlock our mutex anymore. That's being managed by our lock guard. Okay, so we can go ahead and save this and we can recompile our program and we can go ahead and run it a couple times. And what we see is that, we get the correct behavior in that we have serialized access now to that std_cout, and we don't have, anything like a a deadlock anymore. And, we did things a little more safely, and we don't have to manage lock and unlock anymore. It's all taken care of by our lock guard. Okay, so that's a bit of the basics of this thread synchronization using a stood mutex and stood lock guard. Of course, below the video, I'll link these CPP reference pages for mutex and lock guard respectively. And as always, you can find this or any of my other examples at github.com/coffeebeforearch. But that's going to go ahead and do it for today. As always, I'm Nick, and I hope you have a nice day.